Wow. Yes. So we are live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So yes, I'm sure guys will start joining in, and please, guys, as soon as you join in, I think we still have like 30 seconds more to 8 to the time to 12 p.m. CDT. So guys, please, as you join in, kind of let us know where you're joining from. Let us know. Yes, right now it's the real deal. This is exactly 12 p.m. our CDT. Thank you all for joining. If you're here, please say hi. Tell us where you're writing from. Tell us what you do, and where you are and all of that. You never can tell. Hello, thank you. Hello, Irene. Hello,
Hi,
Dennis.
Irene.
Great,
Hi, Denise.
hey. Yeah, we're excited to see you all here. Nice, nice. Please tell us where you are right now, where you're writing from, where you're joining us from. Tell us what you do, or tell us. You never can tell. Someone might be in need of your services. Okay. One thing I like about webinars, like I always say, is it actually gives room for networking, and you never can tell. You can even drop your social media handles, and someone might like to follow you up. So yes, guys. Yeah. Hello, Daphne. Hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Where are you at right now? Where are you joining us from? Tell us, guys. It's good we know from Texas. Interesting,
Hi,
interesting.
Denise
I
from
currently have a friend
Texas.
in Texas. Yeah. I currently have a friend there, and we're excited to have you here. Oh, great. The Fane from tennis. Thank you for joining. Marketing manager, of course. That's super amazing for nonprofit girls. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Awesome. You're welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Hami. Hello. Yeah, marketing manager. Of course, great. You can, like I said, you can even drop your handles, okay? And someone, marketing manager, someone would like to, follow you. And thank you for joining. Thank you. Hi, Joe. It's good to have you. It's good to have you. Thank you for joining. Greetings from New York, of course. Tell us, Joe. Tell us what do you do? Tell us more about you so that we can, get to network. Because today's webinar is really going to be super amazing. Trust me, guys, when I say so. We have a great expert on board that I'll be introducing to you all very soon. So yeah, feel free. Awesome. Virtual administrative business. Amazing.
I'm
That's super
excited to
good.
see so many marketing managers. This is
Yeah, I'm really
Daphne,
excited to see that. It
Amy.
shows that the content we're giving out is really going to be hitting the right spots because these are people who really need this information. Awesome, Joe. Junior email marketing manager. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for joining. And yes, I hope you all are doing really great today. So let me introduce myself. I am Pam, and I am business development manager here at Celsi. And I'm very excited to welcome you all to today's webinar on how to boost your email list growth with the right lead magnet. Yeah, I'm sure for some of us might be hearing about lead magnet and all of that, but yes, today we're going to be talking about how to enable your growth with the right lead magnet. Yes. Hi, Erin. Thank you, Erin. Thank you for joining. Content contributor. Amazing. I like that content contributor. And again, yes, okay, let me introduce our super amazing expert, our super amazing email expert for today's episode. She has more than 7 years of experience. Her name is Anna Saranya Edwards. Thank you so much, Anna, for joining. It's super great to have you here. And she's going to take us on the journey on how to explore and how to boost email list growth with the right with the right lead magnet. So, guys, make sure you get your questions. I always like it when a webinar session is very interactive. Okay, so that's the difference between a webinar and a conference. Conference, you just need to listen. You literally can't ask questions, you know. You know what I mean, Anna?
Yes, 100%. And I am comfortable stopping at intervals. So if people have questions, we can stop like at the 10-minute mark or and just to get through some of those. I know sometimes when you're watching a webinar, you may have a question in a particular moment that if you wait until the
Exactly.
end, you either miss it or it's not as relevant. So I'm happy to pause throughout the presentation to take like a batch of
Awesome.
questions.
Thank you very much again
So take note of
for
that.
that, Anna. Yes. So guys, please, let's make use of the question and answer box. Okay, you can drop your questions, whatever question it is, and we have our super Anna here to answer all of our questions. So once again, Anna, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. And in a minute, I will just stop talking now and hand over to our amazing Anna, and she will lead us to this super journey. Thank you again, guys, for joining. So please feel free to be interactive. Over to you, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to start with the expected outcomes. By the end of this webinar, my commitment to you is that you will walk away with three keys to choosing the right lead magnet and 10 lead magnet ideas that you can use to grow your list. I will also be providing specific examples for different industries so that it's super relevant. And then I'll be talking about some tools that you can use to create your own lead magnet. And as I share those tools, one of the things I was really considerate of is the element of cost and ease of use. So those are the three key takeaways, three keys to choose the right lead magnet, 10 ideas you can use to start growing your list, and some tools that you can use to create those lead magnets. Right now, before I dive too far into the presentation, I'm going to talk a little about myself, provide you with some context for who I am and why you should even be listening to me talk about email marketing. Right? I've been writing copy for emails and other marketing materials since 2015. I've written 1,000+ campaigns for clients across the globe. I've worked in an agency setting. I've worked for SaaS companies and I've worked independently for clients. My copywriting for email campaigns and sales funnels has generated revenue for clients in a range of industries, e-commerce, SaaS, coaching, real estate, and more. My company, FOA Marketing, we focus primarily on conversion copywriting and email strategy and execution. And we work with a range of clients, but the majority of my clients tend to be in the coaching and the e-commerce space, and I have done some work with SaaS. All right, so I will be able to provide some insights, and even if it's not in a specific industry that you're working in, I'm sure a lot of these are transferable. So I'm excited to dive in and get started. Right now, I know when we talk about lead magnets that sometimes the inclination is to just dive right in and get started. But I would implore you to, hit pause before you go there and consider a few key things, right? The number one thing that I believe you must do before you decide on a lead magnet is to cover some critical questions. And these questions won't just inform your lead magnet, but what you're going to find is that they will inform your overall marketing strategy that often extends beyond email. And so as we're going through the presentation, I do want you to take into account a lot of these pointers. They extend beyond just your lead magnet, even though this conversation is primarily about lead magnets. And so what are some of those questions? You want to be crystal clear on your who, right? I call it the 5 W's and an H. So your who is, we're talking about your target audience here. And are they the same as your target customer? Will there be people getting your emails who will never be customers? And this is one of the things that we sometimes don't consider. If you think about the people who follow you on socials, if you think about sometimes the source of your clients or customers. There are people who may be following you who may not need the product or service that you're offering, but there's somebody within their network who, when that person asks, they're like, I follow so and so, or I'm on so and so's email list, and I feel like they'd be a good fit for that thing that you're looking for. And so you do also want to consider those people. They may be part of your audience, but they're not necessarily customers, or may not be customers for a long period of time, right? You also want to think about who will be handling your email marketing, depending on the size of your operation. Can you handle it in-house? Is it something that you may need to outsource? Maybe you need to outsource parts of it. Maybe you need to hire a strategist, but then you can handle the execution piece. So those are things you want to think about. As far as your why, you want to think about why you're doing this, because that's super important, right? What's the end goal? When you create a lead magnet and you're thinking about growing your email list, there can be different reasons for that. Sometimes it's revenue, more often than not, it's revenue, maybe brand awareness, maybe there's a particular upcoming event that you really want to go hard promoting. Maybe it's a new product launch, or maybe it's just whatever product or service you're offering. So you want to think about your who, your target audience. You want to think about why, what's your end goal. You also want to be thinking about what useful information you can share with this target audience, because that's going to inform your lead magnet, right? Because you want to make it something that is useful. You also want to think about where you will be collecting your leads. Are you going to be using social media? Do you have a website? Which email client are you going to be using to send out your emails? Are you thinking about using Celsi? Are you already using Celsi? When are you going to be sending emails? Once somebody has opted into your lead magnet, they're now on your list. When are you going to be sending emails? And when will you be assessing the effectiveness of those efforts to determine if you need to tweak something somewhere along the way? So you do want to answer those questions. You also want to consider how email marketing will fit into the bigger vision for your business. And this ties into my earlier point that when you're considering your lead magnet, you don't want to think of it in isolation, because it's part of your email strategy that fits into your bigger vision, right? So how is email going to be a part of that? Will your lead magnet and email be a source of lead generation that you then pass off to a sales team? Is it going to be the be all and end all, as in you're going to be promoting your product or service within those emails and selling through emails, right? You also want to think about how you're going to measure the effectiveness of your lead magnet and your overall strategy. We could be, as far as metrics, you could be thinking about things like the conversion rate on that landing page, how many people visit the page versus how many people actually download your offer. And then as we shift further into the process and start talking about emails, you may want to think about your open rates, click-through rates, etc. And then how are you going to find your target audience to encourage them to join your list? I hinted at this earlier. You're going to be using social media, website, or some other platform. And so these are some of the key questions that I recommend that you consider as you are thinking about not just your lead magnet, but your overall marketing strategy, right? Another thing that I think is critical as you're going through the process, you really want to get into the habit of expressing your value proposition. So in terms of the value you provide to your customers, right? And this will go a long way in generating interest and desire with your target audience. Now, what do I mean by that? When I talk about your value proposition, I'm talking about what is the thing that you're selling and why should people buy it? How are you positioning that thing? And I have some examples here. If you're a product-based business and you're selling skincare products, yes, technically it's skincare products, but you want to position that as a feeling. You're selling the feeling of being healthy and beautiful. And that's a much better place to sell from than I'm just selling a skin cream. As far as services, If it's fitness or coaching, you want to talk about the confidence that comes with being healthy and fit to really hone in on your end user's core concerns and how your solution potentially fixes that. Another example, nobody really wants a life coach, right? It's not a thing that people get up and think, okay, this is important. But clarity around our purpose, a clear action plan that takes us towards our goals, those are things that people will buy into. So as you're thinking about your messaging, I do want you to consider these things and go from the position of value, because this does make it infinitely easier to position and sell. And I know it's a bit of an aside. You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with lead magnets? But it's all connected, right? Now that we've gotten that out the way, let's talk a little more about lead magnets. I think most of us here are pretty clear on what a lead magnet is, but in the event that there's anybody here who's not so familiar with the term, I've got you. Your lead magnet is essentially anything you share with your subscribers in exchange for their email address. Some people call it a freebie. It's a resource that you share with your subscribers in exchange for their email address to get them onto your email list. And as far as what that workflow could potentially look like, ideally, you'll have a traffic source, and it can be paid or organic. That could be blog posts, social media posts, maybe it's paid ads, your website, a podcast, this webinar, for example. That traffic source, you're sending it to a landing page, which hosts your offer. Normally, there's an opt-in form, could be a pop-up. Then persons opt in, they get access to your lead magnet or freebie, which I will be sharing some examples throughout this presentation, but it could be a webinar, email series, an ebook, free consult. There are lots of them. And then the next step, if you're doing it right, is to send follow-up emails and maintain that communication with your new subscribers. So that's essentially what the workflow looks like. It's commonly called a funnel. It's an oversimplified version of a funnel, right? Depending on your line of business, it can get way more complex, but I just wanted to provide a simple overview of how your lead magnet fits into that process, all right? So now, how do you come up with an offer that people will actually want to sign up for? What makes people sign up for email lists, right? There are 3 keys that I believe are super critical for choosing the right lead magnet for your audience. And that's 1, solving a problem. The main goal of your lead magnet should help your prospect with a problem, right? This means it must be something that actually matters to them. And so as you're thinking about the different options, you want to make sure that you are solving a problem and that you're not just creating a lead magnet just because you can. The next step that's connected to that is making sure that it's actionable. And what do I mean by that? Whatever resource you're sharing, there should be some takeaway that your subscribers can use to get a quick win. And the benefit of that is once you make that resource actionable and they're able to get a win, it solidifies in their mind that you're a go-to resource and that you're a good option whenever they have a problem that they need to solve. And so that's the reason you want to make sure that your lead magnet, whatever it is, has something that's actionable that will give your subscribers a win. The third key is to connect it to your main offer. While many people I find tend to do very well with the first 2, I think sometimes connecting it to your main offer is where people sometimes drop the ball. You want to make sure that whatever lead magnet you're offering, that it's connected to your main offer, all right? Remember, your goal is to turn subscribers into customers. And so your lead magnet is really a step in that journey. As an email strategist, one of the lead magnets that I use is an email campaign checklist. And I came up with that list because I send tons of campaigns. And even when with a client work or within an agency environment, there's sometimes little things that you take for granted, like did you update your preview text? Did you add alt images and all these little things? And there's so many steps that I'd find that sometimes I'd send emails and it's after the send that I'm like, crap, I forgot this step. And so that particular lead magnet, that checklist, it solves a problem, it's actionable, and it's connected to my main offer, which is the service that I provide, email. And so that's just an example of how you can think of your lead magnet, making sure that it hits those 3 key points. All right. And so I promised I promised lead magnet ideas, and I have quite a few here. And this is just a quick summary. We have the checklist, the worksheet, the templates, webinars, masterclasses, infographics, resource list, a free consult, a training video, challenges, 3, 5, or 7 days are the most common, a short email course, a giveaway, or a contest. And I'm going to be diving into some of these and providing concrete examples that you could potentially take away and experiment with in your own business. But before I jump into these, Pamela, are there any questions that touch on anything I've gone so far, or should I just keep going? Anything for me?
Yes, we have one question,
Okay.
but actually, from my opinion, or maybe we can look at the questions.
Save that one after?
Yeah, like
Okay.
after the.
No problem. No
but we
problem.
have one question so far. Yes, on how to personalize lead magnets.
Okay. All right. I'll keep going then. And so the first one I'll touch on is checklists. I gave an example earlier of the fact that I use an email campaign checklist as a lead magnet, and it's been effective. I've gotten good responses. The thing with a checklist, they're typically short and to the point. More often than not, it's a 1-page, a PDF, could be 2. It's a great way to keep track of important steps in a process. And for that reason, they tend to be a hit. If you're a web designer, a checklist is a great option, a website checklist. With a meal planning checklist, that could work if you're a nutritionist or you're working in the health and fitness space, right? Worksheets are another great option. Typically, you don't want to make these too long because it's something that they should be able to get through in one sitting, ideally. One recommendation I have around worksheets and some of the other options on this list is to make it editable. Because if you think about it, more often than not, when we download PDFs, we seldom print them. So if it's a lead magnet that requires people to fill in the blanks or, to write something down or to check something off, you want to make sure that it's editable. That way you're guaranteeing that your subscribers will use the resource. An example, I have a customer avatar worksheet that helps people prepare for my funnel blueprint service. If you're a credit consultant, an example, you could offer a debt analysis worksheet. So think of if you're offering a service, worksheets tend to be better if you're offering a service. Think about a worksheet that could help your prospect get ready to work with you, or that would help them if there's like a do-it-yourself option that you offer. Next, I have templates, which are another great option. If you have a process or systems in place that work for you, templates are a great option because you're using something that already exists. So you're not building from scratch. And that's one of the advantages of templates. If there's a process within your business that you've already figured out how to do it, you have it step by step, create a template from that, and that could be a downloadable. Budgeting spreadsheets are a good option. Content calendars, Canva templates, those are great options that you can turn into a lead magnet that your subscribers will be able to use right away and get value from. Contests or giveaways are another option. People don't necessarily think of these as lead magnets sometimes, but the key with contests and giveaways is to ensure that the prize is relevant to your main offer and your target audience, which sometimes gets missed. I saw this a lot when I was working in the agency space. We ran a lot of contests and giveaways as a source of lead gen, and we had to be careful to ensure that whatever we were giving away wasn't just attracting everybody. Because the drawback to that is you end up with a list of subscribers who only came for the free thing and not for the value that you're providing on the tail end. So just one thing to be mindful of if you're considering contests or giveaways. An example, handmade candle brand could do a gift card for candles and then use email to generate sales on the tail end of that. Next on the list, we have infographics. If you are already creating content, whether that be blog posts or content on social, you can repurpose that content into an infographic. Infographics are a great way to share information, and they're easy to create with tools like Canva. They're visually striking and make the topic memorable. So, for example, if you have a 1,500-word blog post, some people are skimmers, they may just look at your headlines. Using that content to then create an infographic that people can download at the end of that blog post is a great idea. Another example for an infographic, if you're like a web designer, you could use an infographic to teach the anatomy of an effective homepage or something like color theory. You can get really creative with it depending on your area of business. Next on this list, another one of my favorites, and not just because I'm an email strategist, a short email course. This is another option where if you're already creating content, whether on social or your own website, you could take that content and teach your leads how to do something in a series of 5 to 7 emails. The key here is to use an email software with automation to set up the autoresponder so that those emails are being delivered, whether day over day or however you've promised your subscribers. An example of this, if you're like a coach, lifestyle or wellness, you could teach your leads how to deal with mindset blocks and work on goal setting. The key here is to, again, similar to with lead magnets in general, if you were to do a series of 5 emails, you want to make sure that there's value in each email and that you're giving them like a key takeaway or a key action to take at the end of each day. And then on the tail end of that, you would tie it back into whatever your product or service is and demonstrate, okay, now that you've completed this, here's how to continue that journey with whatever your solution is. All right. Another lead magnet idea that's a great option is videos. Training videos and tutorials, unlike masterclasses, these tend to be recorded. In most instances, you can simply record and upload your video and then link to it once leads are added to your mailing list. And the possibilities are endless with this as well. But an example I have here, if you're a brand strategist, you could do a training video on the important components of branding. I've seen email strategists do essential elements to consider when crafting a sequence. So lots of options available to you with that specific option. I'm using video. Another example I have here is resource lists. Celsi has a great example of this. Your resource list should help your prospects accomplish something in less time than it would take them to do it without your list. So if you think about the Celsi resource, for example, if you're getting started with email marketing, their resource list, I think it has links to freebies and it has, I call these articles that cover the different elements to consider. Ultimately, you want to make sure that that resource list shortens the time it would take your subscribers if they were to go and do the research themselves. A publishing consultant, as far as examples, a publishing consultant could share a list of resources that would help authors write their book more quickly and efficiently. And this could be a combination of what software solutions they could use, as well as other kinds of resources. All right. And then I think we're winding down to, I think I have 2 more. The free consultation, I've used this at different intervals in my business. If your business is B2B and there's like a sales process, this may be a little more beneficial, but different types of businesses can experiment with the free consultation. It's a great option. It tends to be more personal than some of the others on the list because you're actually having a conversation, but it will be more time consuming because it means you'd have to schedule time for it on your calendar. It's recurring. So it's not necessarily creating a resource that automates the process. So that's a distinction with this. So again, this one, it may not work for most businesses, but if you find that you're like an agency, you're providing a certain kind of service to a B2B audience, you may want to experiment with a consultation and then follow up with an email sequence on the tail end of that. And then the last option on the list, masterclasses and workshops. This is a great way to teach on camera in real time. Again, video is more personal. So you do really get an opportunity to establish yourself as an authority and connect with that audience that has signed up for the offer. I had one client run a masterclass, Habits of Highly Successful Women. And then what we did, I did the entire funnel for her. So on the tail end of that, we sent emails that sold her monthly membership. So again, if you're in the service or coaching space, this is an option that is worth looking at, right? And the third thing I promised was to talk about resources for creating a lead magnet. Everything that's on this list is either free or low cost or has a free or low cost option. Everybody, I think, by this point is familiar with Canva and all the things that you can do with it. Canva has come a long way, I'd say, in the last 2 or so years in terms of additional features with the implementation of AI that makes writing so much easier. You can use Canva for designing graphics, presentation decks, for your ebook. And so for a lot of the options on the list for lead magnets, you'll find that Canva is a great resource. Even though they have a paid plan, the free plan is very robust and you could potentially get away with using the free option to create some of your lead magnet options. Don't overlook Google and Microsoft. Google is my preference, but if you're sharing an option that doesn't have a lot of that need for graphics or images, sometimes there's a tendency to try to complicate things that don't need to be complicated. I've downloaded free resources that were simply a Google document with email subject lines and recommendations for why each worked. Super effective, very simple. The email marketer was able to get that out quickly because she didn't spend a lot of time, complicating it, worrying about design. So depending on your target audience, you would know depending on who you're working with. Sometimes it's okay to take the simple route just to launch the thing and get it out there. PDF Escape is another resource that I love. I talked earlier about converting your PDFs and making them editable. If you're sharing like a checklist or a workbook or something that requires your subscriber to answer questions, complete the content, it's good to make the file editable. PDF Escape, when last I checked, was a free resource. I use it for that, and I think it's a good idea if you're creating a worksheet and you want to give your subscribers the option of completing it electronically without the need to print. YouTube, if you're going the video route, you don't necessarily need to use paid hosting for your videos. YouTube is a great resource. You can upload your videos and set them as unlisted and then embed that page on your website. The last time I ran my list building challenge, that's the way I did it. Uploaded the videos to YouTube, and then I embedded them on the respective pages on the website and just set them to unlisted so they're not searchable or they could not be found on YouTube. Again, if you're going the webinar option, depending on the size, your expected audience size, Zoom is an option that could be used if you already have a Zoom account. The advantage of that is it may not be as costly as some of the other webinar software options. And again, the key thing with a lot of these resources, as I mentioned, I wanted to make recommendations for things that are more cost effective, but still provide the value that you would get if you went for more expensive options. So if you're running like a live webinar, Zoom works. You don't necessarily need specialized webinar software. But just to clarify, if you're doing an automated or an evergreen webinar, then you will need a platform that is designed specifically for that. Okay, so those are the resources as far as ideas for promoting your lead magnet. Again, some of these may be obvious, others maybe not so much. Social media is always going to be one of the better options for this. If you are already posting consistently on social, make sure that you're talking about your lead magnet. There are people that I follow on social who have lead magnets, they have a business, and they're not as invested in sharing that. So they'll talk about other things, but they maybe mention their free resource once a month, if at all. If you're on social, post about it regularly so that your audience knows that it's available to them. Add it to your bio link or your profile link, make it an option, make it visible so that people know that it exists. Another great option is to cross promote. This webinar is an example of that. This is a partnership between myself and Celsi. Cross-promoting is a great option if there's another person in your space or a similar business. If you're a copywriter, you can partner with a web designer. There are lots of other examples of that. If you're a coach, but you perhaps work with a specific kind of entrepreneur, you can partner with a coach who works with a different audience and cross-promote your offer in that way. Guest appearances, whether it's on a podcast or in groups or on social media lives, these are all great ways to promote your lead magnet, because once you've created it, you want to remain top of mind. You want to be sharing it with your audience. And if you take nothing away from this slide, I think the one thing I absolutely want you to remember is that I don't think people really get tired. Sometimes we worry about overwhelming our audience. Or like, I said it last week, I don't want to say it this week, I don't want to say it next week. The same people don't typically see your post, your content, your offer in the moment that you share it. And so you want to make sure that you get into the habit of sharing repeatedly. A business coach of mine made a great point when she said, you have not promoted enough until you are tired of hearing yourself say it. And so that's something to think of. Keep promoting the offer, because that is a critical part of getting people on your list after you've done the heavy lifting of creating the lead magnet. All right. And so having covered all of that, I do want to just share some general best practices around email marketing. And I'm sharing these because once you've committed to creating that lead magnet and you make a decision to do so, on the tail end of that, you're likely going to be sending emails. And so a few things to consider. You want to ensure that you're using engaging subject lines, because once your email lands in your subscribers' inbox, that subject line is going to be a critical part of whether or not your emails get opened. Use personalization. If you have like your subscriber's first name, personalization, you can use it in that way. Personalization goes beyond that though. So if you know that they have a specific problem that you solve, talk about that in the content. You can personalize based on other demographic data as well, whether it be location, the particular industry that they're in. If you have subscribers in different industries and you collect that information at the point when they opt in, or if you have a subscriber survey, use the information that you collect to personalize your emails. And then segmentation is connected to that. The more you know about your subscribers, be sure to segment the list and send them targeted content based on the information they've shared with you. I talked about increasing opens with subject lines. Make sure that you're using a from name, a sender name that your email recipients will recognize. And the key to that is just making sure that you're not changing it periodically. Whatever name you use, keep it consistent. Again, make sure the content is relevant. Limit your email to one single call to action. I know this can be a tricky one, especially if you're a product-based business, but if you give your subscriber too many options, if you're asking them to do too many things, you're asking them to reply, you're asking them to click a link, you're asking them to visit you on social, you're asking them to buy this product, it's too many things happening at once. So if you're able to limit each email to a single call to action, you're likely to get better results in that email and throughout your overall sequence. Another best practice is to use alt text if you're using images in your emails. That way, if your subscriber has images, if they don't have images enabled, if they have images turned off, they're able to see that. If they're using a screen reader, then they will also be able to get the description of your images, which is just a good practice overall for accessibility. And then the last pointer I have for you, which is super critical because you don't want to be reported for spam or to be seen as spammy. Always allow your subscribers to opt out of your list. And that means having an unsubscribe link at the end of your emails so that if somebody no longer wishes to engage with your content, they have an option to do so, to remove themselves. All right. And so those are just some best practices as you consider your own email marketing efforts and email strategy. Now, the last thing that I have is an offer, because what's a webinar without an offer? In the spirit of transparency, if you go to the link, what you're getting is access to some free resources along with a coupon code for this. So if you want the slides from today's presentation, along with two of my main freebies, you can visit fwaymarketing.com/Celsi to get access to those resources along with the coupon code for this offer that I'm going to talk about now. And of course, there's no commitment. If you opt in and you decide you just want freebies, that's fine too. However, if at the end of all of this, you've watched, you're excited, but you're not so confident in whether your ability or the likelihood of you following through to complete your lead magnet and getting started, I'm running another iteration of my 7-day list building challenge where you create and launch your lead magnet in just 7 days. This next challenge is September 3rd to 9th. And what's included is 3 months access to my private community that's not hosted on Facebook. It's hosted on Heartbeat. So it's a private app with a website. There'll be 2 live sessions, mini trainings, and co-working with a Q&A. And then there'll be a walkthrough for setting up your Celsi account and delivery email. And I'll also be including tutorials for other platforms. And then there's a welcome email template so you can engage your new subscribers right away with that initial delivery email. Typically, the challenge is for $97, but I am offering it for $47 for webinar attendees. And to access the offer, you'd go to fwaymarketing.com/Celsi to claim the offer, as well as to get access to the slides from today's webinar, along with my email campaign checklist that I talked about earlier and my email ideas cheat sheet. All right. So if you're interested, fwaymarketing.com/Celsi to claim that offer. And in order to reach me, I'm active on Twitter, sometimes on LinkedIn. Those are the 2 platforms where I spend the majority of my time. If you have a question and you just want to connect, feel free to use any of those methods to get in touch with me. And I will take questions now if anybody has any.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
so much, Anna. Wow, that was super amazing. In fact, I can see in the chat box a lot of engagement, and people are learning so much, and it's
I'm
super
glad.
great to get to know more about lead magnet, strategies, ideas, and practices that we all can put forth. That's super amazing. Thank you so much for that. And guys, please feel free, let your questions keep, coming in. I see a lot of questions already,
Okay.
and we're going to get to it very soon. But before we get to the question and answer, and I'm very sure some of us here might be wondering, okay, so what platform or what email marketing tool can we use to send out our campaigns and all of that, right? And here I'll be speaking briefly about Salesy. Next slide. I'll be speaking briefly about Salesy and what Salesy can do for you. Best practices to achieve. Next slide again. So for Salesy, it's a very user-friendly platform and no coding platform actually, which means that you can use Salesy. You can use Salesy to create campaigns in less than 15 minutes without any coding knowledge. Isn't that amazing? Right. And again, another beautiful thing is at Salesy here, we give you access to like free plans just to support your business, just to give you insight on how Salesy can help you achieve your goals, increase revenue, maintain your database. It's quite affordable. It's quite affordable. Even after the free plan, you can choose to subscribe to whichever plan that is very suitable for you. And if you must know, our customer support is 24 hours. If you have questions, if you still have questions, maybe regarding lead magnet, maybe regarding email validation, or whatsoever regarding email marketing, our customer support is there to help you right there on the Salesy platform. And we give you detailed analytics, okay? Because of course, it's always good to get feedbacks, after sending out your emails. You need analysis of those who opened your emails, the open rates, the click rates, and all of that. All of this, you can get access to this right there on the Salesy platform. So the next slide. Again, here is email campaign optimization. So what does this mean? This means that after creating your campaign, Salesy platform can help you to spot out errors, give you recommendation, review your campaigns before sending it out there. This shows that we are super, interested about your growth, not just signing up on the Salesy platform, but excited about your growth. So to the next slide. Again, there's auto response, right? You can create some auto response, automated campaigns. For example, if any of your clients should reply to your emails, right, you can just set up like a campaign so that it can make things very fast, and you can make your sales. You can reach out to your audience without manually being present. You understand what I mean? All right, to the next slide again. Another amazing thing about using the Salesy email marketing platform is you can integrate this with your CRMs, with different popular services, just to make all the process very seamless. So Salesy is there to help you create this seamless and easy to use platform. So the next is unlimited emails to your contacts. Okay, so you can have up to 100,000 email in your database, or even 1 million, or 10 million, 100 million, as much as possible. There is no limit of content depending on what you subscribe to. And in turn, you can send, series of emails, maybe weekly, and just as you want it, right there on the Salesy platform. All right, to the next slide again. Yes, again, here it talks about analytics, basic metrics on how Salesy can help you to ensure that you can get feedback, you can get detailed reports. Maybe your SEO team or your email marketing team would like to see report. Salesy can help you generate all of this. The next slide. Yes, again, let's stay in touch. Of course, you can follow us on LinkedIn. You can follow us on Telegram or on Instagram, rather on Facebook, LinkedIn, and we will be there to, to hear from you. To the next slide.
Oh, that was the last one. So I think we
Okay,
can
great.
dive
Thank
into
you.
the
So
questions
now we
now.
can, yes. So now we can get into the question and answer session. So
Yes.
I'll be reading out the first question. But before then, we have an amazing package again for everyone who has joined the webinar today. I will be posting in here a link. So please, guys, feel free to click this link right immediately after the webinar. Okay, we have an amazing offer for everyone who has joined. It's like our lead magnet. It's like our freebie for everyone. So it's right there on the chat. Please copy the link. You can copy the link and get to see all Salesy has to offer to you. It's actually a promo where you can get all of Salesy features and everything just for $49. You can imagine, for example, something you're supposed to get for like $500 and you're getting it for $49. Isn't that amazing? So guys, please quickly sign up on this link. I've posted it right here on the chat. And in case you miss it, you can just go to the Salesy website and reach out to the customer support. They can send you the link again. So yes, to the very first question to our amazing Anna. The first question is, how can I personalize lead magnets? This question is from Amy. Is it possible?
Okay.
Is it possible to personalize
So
lead magnets?
Amy, so the only example that I have from my list where that could potentially work would be if you were to do an email course, because then you'd be able to add personalization to that. But outside of an email course, because most lead magnets are sent to a mass audience, so to speak, you would not be able to personalize. But my recommendation to you would be, after you've gotten those subscribers on your list, that's the point at which you start sending more personalized content through your email engagement on the tail end. But the lead magnet itself, unless you're using an email course, it's not likely that you'll be able to personalize that.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Another question from Dan quickly. Could you share some strategies on promoting lead magnet? Could you share
Okay,
some strategies?
Dan probably asked that just before I got to that slide, because there
I
was
was
a
about to
slide,
say so
I
too,
think
because
one
I
or
know
two
that point.
slides. So Dan could also grab the presentation slides if he wants to go back over that. And then
Okay.
can I go ahead? I'm seeing a question here from Ron. I don't know if Ron is still here.
Okay,
I'm an
for
estate
the question from
agent.
Ron.
Yeah, I'm an estate agent and have a huge database of international property owners who all have properties in London. How can I approach these owners to give them some value and win their instruction for sale or to let their properties? Great question, Ron. My recommendation for this would be a checklist would be a great option, or like an info packet. And what you would want to consider is, think about some of the things that they would need to do in order to prepare that property for letting or sale. And then put that together as like the first step if they're considering selling or subletting. And then on the tail end of that, you could follow up whether with conversations or emails. Now that you know, and the messaging would be along the lines of, okay, now that you have this list and you know what to consider, here's how I can help you put that into practice and get your property ready for sale. So hope that is helpful if Ron is still here.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I'm sure he's still here. Thank you for that. Okay, so to the next question is, I promote small clothing shop. Any ideas for lead magnets for us?
Oh, that's from Irene. Okay,
Yes,
yes.
from Irene.
And I could do this all day. So, Irene, small clothing shop. Depending on, I don't know what exactly you're selling, you could do a mini style guide. So, you could do a style guide depending on body type. Here's how you dress for this body type, or here's how you dress for work versus leisure, or maybe like key pieces for a capsule wardrobe. And then maybe you'd have something like a little black dress. Make sure you have black pants or whatever those garments are. But make sure whatever you're putting in that style guide are things that you have in your store so that you can link to them and connect that to whatever you're selling.
Great, great, great. Thank you for that again. So we have another question. I am the marketing manager at a nonprofit for girls. What would you consider to be the best lead magnet idea? We are an after school and summer program for girls. So what would you
Okay, Daphne, I like this one. This is another good one.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a lead so that if the lead magnet is for parents so you're looking for more enrollment in the program, I would recommend something that connects to research that talks about the benefits of after school programs and summer programs. So maybe 10 reasons why your daughter or child would benefit from a summer program. And then as part of those benefits that you're listing in your lead magnet, you would weave in how your specific program meets that need and offers that solution. So that's what I'd use if your target audience is parents of girls that you want to enroll in the program. Hope that's helpful.
Amazing. Yeah, that really sounds so great. Okay, to the very last question for today.
Okay.
Could you share some of the best lead magnet idea for theater directing distant courses?
Oh, okay, that's a good one, Lisa. Let me think for a second. So theater direct. Oh, so you're offering the courses. These are online courses for theater directors. Is that it?
Yeah, theater directing. Yeah.
Okay. Online courses for theater director. Let me see. Did she add? Okay. That one's a little tricky. But if it's an online course, I would start with you could do a teaser to the course. So maybe that very first lesson, sometimes for online courses, the very first lesson can be a good lead magnet as like a freebie because it does two things. It validates the course, but it also gives them a taste of the content early on. If you're not super comfortable with that, you could go from the angle of what's the value of getting formal training in this thing. And then you could maybe do a list of 5 reasons why it's important to get that formal training. And then you could segue into positioning the course as part of an email sequence.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
Great. Great. Yeah, that sounds really great. I'm just checking here if we have more questions. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much, Anna, for today. Personally, I learned so much. Yeah, I learned so much. Thank you, and I'm sure everyone here is really excited to be here to learn from you. And yes, thank you again. Thank you all. Thank you for joining. Thank you for taking about 15 minutes of your time. Yes, Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We're super glad to have you. And yes, please look out for our next webinar. As you know, we always, have webinars just to, give you guys the latest info out there to help your business thrive. So thank you so much. And thank you again to the whole sales team for planning this. And thank you again, Anna, and thank you to your team.
You're welcome.
For agreeing to this great partnership.
For sure.
Yes, thank you.
I'm always happy to partner with Salty. I'm just glad everybody got some value from the content because at the end of the day, that's the goal. So
yeah, that's right.
Thank you so much, Pamela.
Yeah, thank you. It was super great having you. So yes, we will just wrap it up here.
Awesome.
And thank you guys. I remain Pam, Business Development Manager at Salzy. See you guys next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.